Paul Blatt, he is the CEO of JVS Human Services, an organization inspiring hope and unlocking potential. And I'll tell you what, do a lot of people need you and your services right now in the middle of this crisis. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time.
Oh, I appreciate you having me today. Thank you.
What has it been like for you and your staff during this time?
I think that's the answer right there.
Right?
Um, I am so fortunate to have amazing professionals that I work with on a daily basis, and they just pivoted. They saw what was happening in the world, and they started doing what was necessary to do to keep moving forward. And so I'm so privileged and so able to have wonderful staff that went from all face-to-face services, and a day and a half later we were virtual, and we are still helping people and just welcoming people who are struggling to give them assistance.
And with that, Paul, if we can just back it up just a tiny bit to, for those that may not be familiar with JVS Human Services, give us an overview of what you do and why you're so important to the community.
Yeah, thank you. So JVS Human Services is almost 80 years old now. We have been helping job seekers get to work. We believe very strongly that employment leads to equity. And with that, we serve all populations in our community, whether it's people with disabilities, women returning to the workplace, and everything in that space from entry level to CEO. We're here to support the community and allow them the opportunities to get what they should be a part of our society.
I would imagine you're not just a job placement service. A lot of that comes along with this is holding the hands of other people and walking them through this process. And so much of that, as you mentioned, came from a face to face connection. So trying to recreate that virtually has challenges, but it seems like you're finding success in the new challenges.
Well, I don't think we have a choice but to find success because too many people rely on the work that we do. And you're right. I mean, the services that we provide are at no cost to the people that come to us, and it's peoples of all walks of life and faiths and what have you. And we do it differently for every population. So when it's people with disabilities, we will have our team out there supporting them in the workplace. And when we're talking about your neighbor that just is currently been impacted by this, we're there for them and really supporting them, helping them look at their resume, teaching them how to interview via this virtual world that we live in, and how to do that job search, how to network when there is no meeting to go to network with. It's really about just helping people get to work and do what's right.
Paul Blatt with us. He is the CEO of JVS Human Services, joining us today on the Oakland County MegaCast. And let's talk about another program that's been ongoing with JVS for about 30 years. It's the Women to Work program. Especially in the times that we're in now, where more women are in positions of power in industries and are coming into those positions of power in industries and are in varying circumstances going into the job market like anybody else are. How more important has that program been as it's evolved over its 30-year period, and what are some special things that are happening with that program right now to help people that are seeking those jobs?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and so I mean, to take a little bit of history, our Women to Work was originally called Displaced Homemakers. So that just adds a little bit of context to history. I think I cringe every time I say that out loud, but that was where our society was 30 plus years ago. The other thing that we have to recognize is that in the news and what we know so far of the data, women have been more impacted by COVID when it comes to the workplace. Women were actually reaching a majority in the workplace prior to March, and now for the first time in several years, They are not the majority in the workplace. So we need to figure out how to support women in all of the duties that women traditionally take on and unfortunately men step away from too often. So women in the workplace is so important at this time. So we did the same as we've always done, right? It's about engaging people, helping them find their strengths, providing hope. Right now, our Women to Work just kicked off this past week, and the women in there are just so dynamic and ready to go, doing things while having all the distractions in the back of their home, and preparing themselves to go to work. Um, Many of the women historically it was that they had experienced a divorce or a loss or something like that. In the past 5 years it was many women who stepped away from the workplace to provide for an older adult and to support an older adult. And now in many of the women, the industries that women have historically stepped into, hospitality and healthcare and education, those are the areas that have been most impacted during the last few months. And that's where we need to be in supporting people, looking at their jobs, looking at their career choices, and helping them to return and provide.
Paul Blatt with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast. He is the CEO, JVS Human Services. And knowing that, Paul, one thing, we drive down the road and there are help wanted signs on just about every business out there. However, a lot of these jobs are the lower income jobs. What are you seeing from employers versus employees? Is this a situation where people are maybe going back to the workforce and being underemployed just to try to get some type of paycheck into their bank account?
It's yeah, I think there's a piece of that is happening, right? And this we I came to JVS in 2008 during the Great Recession, or the beginning of the Great Recession, and watched how people had to do what they had to do in order to get themselves back into the workplace and provide for their families. This time around, it feels a little bit different. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't even know how to take that first step right now, and there's a lot of fear. There's the concern that they're caring for somebody who is vulnerable, and how do I go into the workplace and don't impact and negatively hurt my family. So there's a lot of different nuances right now, and that's what our team supports people with, is that just processing, helping them move beyond what is going on, and because so many of us feel like we're paralyzed. And so I think once we can get people activated and moving, then we're going to see less of those signs out there. And it's okay for somebody to be underemployed for a short period of time and then move forward. And that's what I've seen from some of the people who are our job seekers and people that we supported back in 2010 are our supporters and our people that are contributors, because they realize that what they experienced, they want to pay it forward, and help somebody that's out there now. So I think there's a little bit of play out there, and the biggest thing is activity creates and reduces that anxiety. So if people can just start moving, and we're here to help them do that, that's what's going to give them success.
And do you think, from an employer standpoint, that they're looking at this time frame? This is pretty much when you can explain things away on your resume, whether it be that gap or that underemployment, is that this is a situation in that I was trying to help juggle all of these different balls in the world and a pandemic as well. So do you think employers are kind of looking at this on someone's resume as, okay, we understand it and we'll look past it? So if you're going to take a step out on the limb and maybe do something different or try something different, and if it doesn't work, this is the time to do it?
if you're able to, right? I mean, if you're in that space and you're able to go and do something different for a period of time, an employer, you're absolutely right. Employers are looking at it going, I get it. I mean, I think for now, probably within the whole next year coming forward, whatever it is that somebody is doing to care for their family, that employers are going to get it. I would, as an employer, I would absolutely look at it and say, yep, that was COVID. Move on, right? Let's talk about what you did the 20 years before, the 5 years before, pre-March. And I think everyone, that makes sense in a lot of ways. Um, and the other thing that people should be considering is during this time, if you're not able to be working out into the workplace, what are you doing to better yourself? What are you doing right now of taking an extra Excel class, taking an extra reading or learning something new about your industry to show that you weren't stale and that you're ready to hit the workforce when it's ready for you.
Paul Blatt with us here on the Oakland County Megacast, and knowing that, what are the jobs that are available right now? Any tips for our listeners and our viewers that you want to share? Like, what areas can they go into?
You know, where I would say you're not going to really find a lot is you're not going to be walking into movie theaters and opera houses. You know, they're doing that in garages, right? You're most likely restaurants are not the space that you're going to be looking. You know, we know that online shopping is through the roof and booming. So if you're looking at places that are doing any fulfillment, any packaging, those things, it's a high demand. But if you're really looking in your own industry, the main thing you should be doing is talking to other people in your industry. And some employers are still moving forward. So if you're a office, a white collar individual, and companies are still moving forward. So utilize the network that you have. Use your LinkedIn. Build your LinkedIn to be stronger, and just keep connecting with people, and connect with them because you care about them. Connect with them because you want to see how their life is moving forward or what's happening in their job, and good things will come from that.
Paul Blatt with us. He's the CEO of JVS Human Services, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. And Paul, you talked about people getting themselves prepared to go back into the workplace if they are in a gap situation, or if they are underemployed and they're not working in their industry at this time in question. What are you doing now to make yourself a better candidate then? JVS also is providing as you call it, modern toolkit series. Can you talk a little bit about that series and how it will help these people that are seeking jobs, that are out in the job market, to further develop those skills so that they have them when they go back into seeking a new position in their field?
Sure, thank you. So the modern toolkit, I mean, we know that a lot of people have used computers and are using their computers in different ways, and then they get into the workplace and they don't have those key skills from a Microsoft Office suite space. And so we're just helping people stay fresh in that. If you're not using Excel on a regular basis or certain components of Word, that you're not staying current, and it will start to fall apart on you. So it's about staying fresh there and keeping engaged in that way. As you're talking to our team and you're calling us or you're reaching out to us at jvshumanservices.org, the other opportunities is JVS partners and operates two career centers, the Waterford, Michigan Works Office, and in Detroit, the Collingwood location with Detroit at Work. So there's also the ability, and people may qualify for new trainings. And so we want people to reach out to us, let us have a conversation with you, and one to one individually, talking about individuals' unique needs, and we want to guide them in that right space.
Paul, quickly before we let you go, are those programs available to anyone, or do you have to sign up for them?
Um, which one is that? I'm
Uh,
sorry. I talked
the
about a lot of stuff
no,
there.
the modern toolkit or any of the
Yeah.
virtual, are these programs virtual and are they open to anyone?
They are virtual. They are available to anyone, and they need to register and get connected. But we will definitely be ready to serve them, and we're able to do that at no cost to people because we have incredible partners in the community and people that support our work that want to make sure that the community is as healthy and able as they can. So we're always appreciative of our sponsors and our supporters.
And we're appreciative of you and your entire team of helping lift up our community during this time as well. So thank you so much. Extend our gratitude to your team as well. Paul Blatt with us here. He is the CEO of JVS Human Services. If you are in the market for a job, please check out them and connect with them to try to maybe uplift your life and improve your situation as well.